So how often should you change your guitar strings? And what are some things to look for or listen for that tell you that it's probably time to change your strings? I'll give you 3 quick pointers today, and then I'll demonstrate a little bit. The first thing you want to look for is the physical appearance of your strings, and especially the bass strings. If you see any discoloration in them, or if you notice any fret marks on the left side of the string, you know when you push the string down and the fret pushes up against the string, it leaves a little mark every time. When those marks become deeper and darker and just more obvious, then it's probably time for you to change your strings. The second thing to look for, or rather to listen for, is just the general quality of the sound that your strings make. You know, when you go to a music store and pick up an expensive guitar and you sit down to play it and you don't like the sound disappoints. That's usually because the strings got old. You know, the music store owner probably didn't take the time to change the strings again. The instrument probably sat there for weeks, maybe even months, nobody bought it, and now the strings got old, so you end up with an expensive instrument that sounds like an inexpensive instrument simply because the strings got old. So as the sound of your strings gets worse and worse, maybe less bright, less clear, more muffled maybe, then you'll know it's time to change your strings. The third thing to look for or listen for is tuning. If you always find yourself tuning the instrument, and especially as you play up and down through the different positions, if you notice that the guitar is out of tune, then you know the strings are old. When you play, for example, some larger intervals, like maybe fifths, or maybe octaves, and if those intervals are out of tune, then you know the strings need to go. You need a new set of strings. Now this particular guitar, the strings on this guitar are about 3.5 weeks old, so they're okay. I don't play a lot on it, maybe once or twice a week on this particular instrument, so they're still okay, kind of. But maybe you heard a little bit of a tuning problem as I move up and down. For example, here, starting here, I mean it's in tune, it's okay, but it's just a little bit off as I move up. So these strings will probably go in 3 or 4 days. For this particular guitar, it's not an expensive instrument, maybe a couple $100. This is a Lucero LC100S. It's got a solid spruce top, but it has laminated back and sides, I think mahogany or something like that. And I don't use very expensive strings for this guitar. Here I go. I use the D'Addario EJ27N for this guitar, which is about $7 online, you know, Amazon, anywhere you buy your strings. And on this guitar, again, every 4 weeks or so. Of course, if you play a lot, your strings will wear out much quicker, so some people buy the extended play strings. They cost more, but again, they last more, so you have to do the math there and see which way you want to go. So again, the 3 things you want to look for and listen for are physical appearance of your string, the quality of your sound, and the way that your guitar stays in tune throughout the different positions on the fingerboard. Now I'll end this video with a funny story. I have this friend who owns an acoustic 12-string steel string guitar, and I went to his house once and I played his guitar, and it was an expensive guitar. I think it was a Guild, something like that. And it sounded horrendous. It sounded very bad, and it was very difficult to play on, very painful. Now, if you ever played a 12-string, you'll know that they're very tough to tune to begin with, because you have 12 strings and some of them are tuned in octaves, and it's just kind of painful until you get used to it. So, but on top of that, the strings on this guitar were very, very old, and he had owned that guitar for about 9 or 10 years, And I said, when did you change your strings last? This is very tough to play on. It sounds so dry and muffled. And he said, well, I never changed the strings on this guitar. So I couldn't believe it. It's horrendous. To have a guitar for 9 years and to have the same strings that you got from the store, it's just unreal. So please don't do what my friend did. Change your strings every 4 to 6 weeks. And even if you don't play, let's say that you take a long break over the summer or something, maybe you travel, you should change your strings anyways, even if you didn't play. Every 8 weeks or so, you should change them anyways. And by the way, if you don't play your guitar for a while or if you travel, it's always a good idea to loosen up the strings so that you release some of the tension that the strings place on the neck. So go ahead and do that. So anyways, this is my short video on how to figure out if your strings need to go. And I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask at the bottom of the video. If you don't mind clicking the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you did. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.